welcome to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan.
I'm James.
I'm Callum.
And tonight, we're catching up with a bit of news.
Yeah, we're going to take it easy tonight. Last week, we kind of introduced the show and then just kind of jumped straight into our Bandersnatch review. And I thought this week we'll just take it easy, talk about some of the movie and TV news and video game news and whatever that's come out recently. So, yeah, we'll take it easy.
See where the winds take us?
And yeah, I thought we'll talk about like what we want to do with the show and sort of where we want to go with it. I think the ultimate goal, I've been saving up to buy my own equipment so that we can start our own sort of long form podcast that we can do outside of radio, which will have obviously less restrictions, and we can do that on several different shows on different topics and kind of see which one sticks and see which one people respond to. But we'll probably keep the radio show just as a sort of fun thing to do on Tuesday night, kind of hang out.
And radio is a great medium as well.
Yeah.
It's a bit of fun.
Yeah. And it adds a little bit of legitimacy to our...
to our hobby.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, James. We are radio professionals.
Yes, we are. We have been fully...
We are certified.
Certified, that's right. But yeah, we're still trying to figure some stuff out with the new show. Callum got a new job recently, so hopefully he'll be here most Tuesdays, but some Tuesdays it'll just be me and Nathan.
I'll be there in spirit.
You will. And yeah, I think we'll mostly try to keep it up every Tuesday. Haven't had any problems keeping it up with the old show, so
I mean, second week, going strong.
Yep. Haven't burned it down yet. The third time's a charm next week.
Oh, yeah, but we haven't got to the third one yet. We'll see.
That's always the toughest.
But yeah, I think we'll segue into our first topic, which ties into our Bandersnatch review from last week, where apparently the publisher of the Choose Your Own Adventure book series are suing Netflix over Black Mirror Bandersnatch. So first things first, I didn't even know Choose Your Own Adventure was a brand.
I didn't even know that it was something that could be like copyrighted.
I'm assuming it's like
trademark.
You know how everyone calls tissues like a Kleenex.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that they were probably one of the first people to bring out that kind of book, and it was a label.
Yeah,
but
so
I don't remember seeing the actual sort of words "Choose Your Own Adventure" being anywhere near.
It's been marketed. I don't know if Netflix marketed it as a Choose Your Own Adventure story, but I know that other people have been marketing it that way.
So Netflix went to the Choose Your Own Adventure people. I think the company that owns it is called Chooserco or something, and they said, "Can we license the Choose Your Own Adventure trademark?" And they said no. So Netflix was like, "Fine." So Netflix doesn't refer to Bandersnatch as Choose Your Own Adventure in any marketing, but Stefan, the main character, does refer to the Bandersnatch novel as a Choose Your Own Adventure book. And so this company is like, we're suing you for trademark infringement, yada, yada, yada.
That seems really petty.
Yeah, and like you were saying with Kleenex, it's kind of like, what else are you supposed to call it? A Choose Your Own Path?
Make your own decision game.
It's like calling Band-Aids or Frisbee or Hula Hoop or Jacuzzi.
Sorry,
those are brand names.
That's a plaster, James. It's not a Band-Aid. It's a plaster.
Bloody the English boys over here. Oh, bloody meat and two veg. Spotted dick.
Technically, they're plasters
Shine
here too.
Your shoes, governor.
No, they are plasters here too.
They are plasters here too.
I've never...
If you actually get a Band-Aid, it'll be like fabric plaster.
Yeah, but no one calls them that in day-to-day.
No, they don't. They say Band-Aid.
Yeah. And but this is saying, those are even dumpster. I found this out recently. A dumpster is actually a brand.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So you wouldn't sue, the dumpster company wouldn't sue a movie.
No, you ride on the publicity, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. These
makes
guys,
your brand more valuable.
Yeah. These guys, these Choose Your Own Adventure guys who own the trademark, I don't know. They're just probably looking for
a quick buck.
Yeah.
And the thing
I don't know how much success that have in this.
Yeah, but it's funny because you think the success of Bandersnatch and Netflix in general would sort of maybe renew interest in a choose your own adventure sort of books.
But apparently their stance is that because Bandersnatch is adult oriented, they don't want to be associated with it because choose your own adventure is a children's.
Oh yeah, but the flow-on effect is the same. Yeah, the positive publicity for that medium.
Yeah. That's a tactic that many a company has used.
Yeah.
If you have a similar name or a similar logo, a company will say, we don't want people to get confused between the two.
Yeah.
Even if there are major differences between them.
Yeah.
It's just a way to get a quick dollar.
That's the thing, yeah. It's like, it's always we don't want people to get confused. It's a load of shit. Like
it is.
Jacuzzi. I'm going to jump in the jacuzzi, and the jacuzzi's like, oh no, the people get confused. That's not a jacuzzi. It's like, shut up. Like it's entered it's entered the public lexicon
that's like the highest sort of honor that you could have.
Yeah.
Your brand being associated with an entire industry, an entire general product.
I guess you just have to put up with all the knockoffs.
Yeah, it's like if you're at that level in your industry, it's like don't be petty about it.
Yeah. Like I'm sure Choose Your Own Adventure, the brand books still exist. But I don't.
They shouldn't be. I don't think they're as popular now as they were maybe when we were children.
Yeah,
but
we talked about this last week actually, and the Choose Your Own Adventure genre.
I'm not talking about genre. I'm talking about the brand.
But it's actually taken off on the computer game business. You'll see lots of interactive stories. No, not Telltale. Like actual narrative interactive stories all over product genre, like things like the Apple Store, Steam, all these things. So they really made a transition to
digital.
So the same type of product, just digitally instead of paperback.
Yeah, they're games now. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry to derail.
No, that's all right.
But I feel like Bandersnatch makes people think about, do you remember when we used to have those books? That type of reaction.
Yeah, well, we talked about it, how we're like, we want to revisit those.
You'd think that the company wouldn't be that upset because chances are their sales went up as a result anyway.
Probably. Yeah, and nostalgia. People are like, I remember those books,
But aggressive lawyers will aggressively lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. I like money.
Yeah.
Another topic that we've all been talking about off air a lot, the Dune reboot or the new Dune
We've been
movie.
excited for this since it was announced that they might be making a reboot.
Yeah.
I want to see though, are they still going to be wearing medieval clothing in a spacefaring society?
I hope so.
It's kind of like a fantasy kind of thing where it takes place so far in the future that they've
come back around.
Yeah,
so it's like fashion goes that far around.
There was like a robot war and like all robots have been banned and like the technology is so far advanced that it actually looks old-fashioned in a way.
I love the idea.
Like it's kind of like where Star Wars got most of its ideas is Dune because it's kind of like a space fantasy.
I like the idea that it's like, like the 80s are in fashion right now. The 80s are right now. It's like you go so far in the future, it's like that 14th century, it's so hot now.
Well, we talked when we watched Outlaw King on Netflix and we're like, love those mullets.
Those haircuts.
Love those like robes and like...
They look like hipsters, James.
Yeah, so they're going to go so far in the future. It's like Her, with, Her, the movie, and everyone's just a hipster now. Like, that's the future.
The Dune reboot has supposedly been directed by...
not supposedly, it is.
One of our favourite directors, Denis
Villeneuve. I pronounce it Villeneuve. He pronounces it Villeneuve, which I don't know.
Well, he's wrong.
He's wrong. That French-Canadian bastard, he's wrong wrong at pronouncing his own name.
Yeah,
but anyway,
French
great
Canadians... Isn't it a thing that French Canadians sometimes speak French differently than the people in France?
Yeah, I'm
so
assuming
he might be pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a fantastic director. Prisoners, Sicario, Arrival.
Some of my favourite movies. I love Prisoners.
He's just like knocking it out of the park.
Blade Runner
2049,
which we won't talk about. We don't know if we like it or not.
Still not sure if I like it or not. I won't say it's bad, but I won't say it's good either.
It's like on our list of like where movies sit. That's eternally just in that sort of.
It's off on its own.
Yeah. I still haven't rewatched it because I'm like, I don't think I like it, but I want to rewatch it and actually make sure. But I'm kind of scared.
Yeah.
But regardless, like he's a great director, and we're all excited to see this new Dune movie. And they've been releasing a lot of casting news, which is exciting. Timothée Chalamet as Paul, which is a great choice.
Yes, that is a good choice.
Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica, which is a great choice. Dave Bautista, who we're all big fans of.
Always a good choice.
Who was the best part of Blade Runner 2049.
It's not very often that a wrestler can make the transition to being a great actor.
Yeah.
You look at John Cena, failed.
Yeah, and
Dwayne Johnson, middle ground.
For me, like, Dwayne Johnson is completely uninteresting, and I don't care about any of most of his films. Almost all of his films are terrible. Like, just boring,
Baywatch
safe
is
choice.
good.
Yeah, no, let's leave Baywatch out of this.
You guys are the worst.
Have you seen Baywatch?
No.
Then mind your own business.
You know what? I'm never going to watch Baywatch just to spite you.
All right, then doesn't change the fact that it's a good movie.
It's going to be a Mission Impossible situation where I hate it. It's going to be a Mission Impossible situation where I hate it.
Oh my god! Well, we'll talk about that.
And then Baywatch 2 comes out, and you're like, "Oh, that was amazing."
We'll talk about that later. But yeah, Dave Bautista. He's making interesting choices. He's in interesting movies.
Yeah,
He has interesting roles.
He seems to really enjoy science fiction roles.
Yeah,
but I think Dave Bautista seems like the kind of actor that he enjoys challenging himself.
Also, he was in Escape Plan 2.
But we don't talk about that movie. That movie doesn't exist.
Which had sci-fi elements, I guess.
I don't know why you guys wasted your time watching that.
Escape Plan 1 was really good.
It was good, but it wasn't really good. Like, it was fine.
It was really good.
You guys are the worst. You know what? Episode 2, that's it. We're done. Tuesday review's finished. Finale. That's it. You said at the start of the show, right?
Can we make it to 3?
You jinxed it.
We'll find out.
You jinxed it. Oh god. But anyway, he's playing. Was it Glossu?
I haven't read the book in a long time.
He's the sort of ugly, sort of hard-headed Harkonnen nephew. The sort of the big brutish one.
Yeah.
So that's a good choice. But they haven't cast the sort of good-looking nephew yet. The Sting from the original Dune. I can't remember his name. They haven't cast him yet, so that'll be interesting to see who plays him. And Stellan Skarsgård as Baron Harkonnen.
Very good. Which
is a very good choice. So yes, it's off to a good start in terms of casting and director.
But it's a movie, right?
Yes. Denis has said that it's going to be 2 films. So that he can tell the whole story.
I was going to say, because like doing it in a movie, historically,
well, yeah, but I'm hoping it doesn't become a Hobbit situation where the studio's like, we like money, and let's make 3, or let's make this an actual franchise. Like, I hope it's one long movie that just happens to be released in 2 parts, or maybe like an It situation, where it's like chapter 1, chapter 2.
I have faith in Denis. Do we know who's his longtime cinematographer? Roger Deakins?
Deakins isn't doing the cinematography, no.
That's a shame.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. But the guy who is doing it, I forget his name, he's done a lot of good stuff as well. So, it'll definitely... Denis Villeneuve's, all his films look amazing. And the production design will definitely be on point, cinematography...
Now, how much... Because Blade Runner 2049 used a lot of practical effects.
It did, yeah. So I'm hoping that carries over.
Carries over with this.
Because Dune is very, ambitious in terms of what it presents. So just to have a lot of CGI crap flying around would be the worst.
Yeah, I worry about the sandworms.
Worst. Yeah, that'll probably be CGI. But, I mean...
They could just
get a worm and magnify it like 1,000 times.
They could just film some actual worms.
Oh man, this is getting some Roger Corman levels of. But yeah, we hope it's good. It'll definitely look good.
We'll be there day one.
I mean, whatever Denis does,
definitely.
He has one of those. Like Rian Johnson before The Fall, he has that track record before where we're just like, look, man.
Rian Johnson only did 2 movies.
Rian Johnson only did 2, and both of those movies were he had 3, and all 3 of those movies were good.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But
I guess Denis on a higher level.
Yeah, Denis knocking out of the park, bam, bam, bam.
Let's not bring. We shouldn't care. I like crapping on Star Wars as much as anyone.
Yeah.
But let's not compare Denis to some guy that got to direct Star Wars. Blade
Runner 2049. I'm not sure if I liked it. Probably didn't like it that much. Didn't think it wasn't that great of a Blade Runner sequel. But it didn't shit on Blade Runner like Last Jedi shat on Star Wars. It wasn't it wasn't a kick in the balls.
Yeah.
So that's a completely different sort of comparison. But yeah, I actually like the David Lynch Dune movie. for all its faults and whatever. I think it's really, really cool, and the practical effects are like top notch, and the cast is pretty crazy.
We just like David Lynch in general.
Well, yeah. But the 2000 miniseries of Dune was also not bad. So even though Dune hasn't had like a really successful sort of movie, or a really, you know, big sort of out there blockbuster, I think, you know, the older stuff isn't that bad, but I think the new one should sort of bring in the masses and bring in people who aren't familiar with it. But hopefully they won't dumb it down to do that. You know what I mean?
I just worried that, like, maybe
I'm hoping it's R, but I doubt it will be.
I hope it's just aimed. I hope one, it's not aimed at kids.
I hope it's not like we're gonna make this into a franchise.
And two, it's gonna be a CG crap fest.
Yeah, I hope not.
So they keep remaking franchises from the 80s. Now, obviously, Dune was written in 70s,
60s.
Yeah, something like that.
I think 60s, yeah, early 60s.
But they keep remaking things. So, you know, of course, we have the Star Wars reboots, the Star Trek reboots, we got the It reboot, the Blade Runner reboots. It's all going on. Now we've got the
Cobra
Dune
Kai.
Yeah, but that was a success.
That was actually good.
So they're now remaking. They're now and when I say they, I mean Hollywood generally.
Yeah,
they're now remaking Dune. What haven't they done that they could possibly do next? Because
don't give them ideas.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there seems to be so little creative blood in Hollywood that everyone just has to keep remaking things.
But that's the thing is it's
what's a franchise that hasn't seen any live in a long time?
But now are you saying a good franchise that they haven't
that they're going to ruin
got their claws in, or are you saying a franchise that maybe wasn't that good and could actually use a sort of update? Because that's what they don't seem to be doing.
Shaft. Oh wait.
No, they screwed that up. Actually, they're doing it again,
that's
aren't
why
they?
I mentioned it.
They screwed that up with the Samuel Jackson version, and now they're screwing up again with a new version.
What's next? Blade has to pay his taxes?
Oh, man. I'd actually watch that. Like a Cobra Kai meta sort of Wesley Snipes Blade in the real world. Sort of office type comedy. Yeah. He's like
times the
trying to
in a world without vampires.
It's kind of like a Wolf of Wall Street kind of thing, like a political sort of thing where he's like trying to avoid paying taxes, and the FBI's investigating him while he's fighting.
It's just like in real life.
Yeah. But anyway, I guess we should move on to what Callum was sort of referencing with the Mission Impossible stuff.
Actually, I'm really sorry to do this, but actually, what Callum just said actually segues into the Bad Boys quite well.
Oh, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we'll talk about that quickly.
Okay.
Because Callum's saying all these franchises, they're sort of bringing forward now. The Bad Boys 3 is in production hell for a while, but apparently it's now starting to shoot.
So Will Smith, I think, tweeted that Bad Boys 3, which is called Bad Boys for Life, thank you very much, is actually starting filming this week.
And wait, so it's Bad Boys for Life, but it's not even the fourth movie.
Yeah. So they can't do the
Bad Boys for Life. No, it's Bad Boys for Life because it's not the fourth film.
Yeah, and there's no E in there at all, so they can't have, except for the end of life. So they could put a 3 on there at the end, but
that'd be lame. But it goes back to what Callum was saying. Like Bad Boys 1 and 2. Look, they're not. Maybe they're not great movies, but I enjoyed them immensely.
That's different because he was talking about like old franchises from like the 70s and 80s that are now, you know, being nostalgia mined and, you know, cash grab, squeezed all the money out of. Whereas Bad Boys 1 and 2, you know, they're 15, 20 years old, but the third movie was always that one that just never came out. Kind of like Rush Hour 3, it took so long for it to come out, and people were asking for it and wanting it. But it got to a point where it's been so long that it's like, do we really want this anymore? And it went through so many directors and stuff. And it's like the stars are just getting older and older. And yeah, it's like, do we really want this anymore?
I don't think I do.
And yeah, I think the boat has sailed. Like,
I mean, we'll go see it, but that doesn't mean I have to enjoy it.
No, I mean, look, the thing is,
it depends. If the trailer doesn't look good, I probably won't see it. But I don't know.
The thing for me is, I feel like if they're going to be doing this, give Martin Lawrence and Will Smith a cameo, maybe, and maybe recast it. I would say.
No, I wouldn't like that.
Don't think that'd be a good idea?
No new blood?
No, just if you're going to do that, just make your own original movie.
That's true.
Like, make a good buddy cop action sort of.
Yeah. But we don't get new IPs. We don't get new movies like that anymore.
That's the thing.
That's why Game Night was so refreshing in terms of crime comedies, because that's basically what Game Night is.
Sort of, yeah.
That's why we were so surprised. There was an original idea with a stacked cast.
Yeah.
that just happened to be excellent. I'm sorry to change the subject.
No,
that just triggered my
yeah.
my tangent mind.
But the thing is, like, now the leads are getting older now. So how how much of bad boy behavior are we going to see?
This really comes down to the script, and the script is most likely not going to be good. But really, the script it's live or dies by it, because if it's actually about them getting older and whatever, but that's also kind of what Bad Boys 2 was about, where
Martin Lawrence had his family,
and he's like, he was like kind of trying to relax all the time, but he couldn't. So it's like, they're
going to retread old ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't really need this. I did have some hope for it when Joe Carnahan was writing and directing, but of course, like all Joe Carnahan stories, it ends with him leaving over creative differences, because he's an actually interesting filmmaker who wants to do interesting things, and Hollywood's just like, nah, that won't make money, nah, that's too adult-oriented or too smart, and he's like, F you, I'm out. So now I'm kind of like, I don't care. I don't really care about this at all. Mission Impossible?
Sure.
Yeah. So
Such a good franchise.
Let me lay the groundwork. Imagine
I love me some Tom Cruise.
Imagine that charm sound effect you use when you go back in time. Like, we're going back in time here.
Psychedelic 60s.
No, not silent. It's like the charms that it's a dream sequence. It's going back in time, right? Callum and Nathan, they love Tom Cruise. To a fault.
So much.
To a point where they think The Mummy is a good movie.
It is a good movie.
Look, no. You haven't seen it, so let's just...
I didn't see it because I didn't want to spend money on trash. It's to a fault. It's to a point where it's kind of disgusting. And so every Mission Impossible movie, they would just be like, I'm there. I don't even care.
No. Number 2's a bad movie.
Yeah, that is a bad movie. Well, they're all bad. Okay, so me, I'm not having it. I don't hate Tom Cruise. I'm just not a big fan. Like, I don't really get his vibe.
So you're Tom Cruise neutral?
Sort of.
Okay.
Collateral's awesome. Risky Business. But otherwise, I'm like not really on board.
Interview with Vampire?
Yeah, that's all right. But yeah, otherwise, I'm not really on board. I appreciate his sort of reinventing himself as this action man who does all the stunts, and it's crazy. But the Mission Impossible franchise for me had always been like, I don't get it. The story and characters weren't good. I didn't care about anything that was going on. I thought the first one was okay, second one's terrible, third one meh. Fourth one's the one that everyone goes nuts for.
Ghost Protocol.
I appreciate the stunts and the sort of practical of elements, but it's just a mess of a movie. Fifth one, I was bored to tears, even though I appreciated, again, the practical elements and the stunts.
The opera scene was pretty good.
Everyone always talks about the opera scene. I was like falling asleep during the opera scene. Couldn't care less.
But 5 is also important because it lays the groundwork for 6.
And this will follow into my point. The 6th movie comes out, Fallout. You guys, of course, are going to be there day one.
We were on the hype train in the front carriage.
Even if it was just Tom Cruise sitting on the toilet for 3.5 hours, you guys would go there and
riveting 3 hours.
Riveting, that's right.
And pay heaps of money for it. So I was like, well, might as well go, right? So I did a whole marathon of all the Mission Impossible movies leading up.
Put yourself through that.
And I was just like, my God, this movie's not going to be good. And I was not having it, right?
Now, to be fair, so before 6 came out, it had multiple director changes, didn't it? Or was it always Christopher McQuarrie?
Chris McQuarrie was always there.
No, it had some delays because Tom Cruise
delays because of that, and there were rewrites and stuff.
So was this the first movie, the Mission Impossible movie that Christopher McQuarrie directed?
No, he did Rogue Nation.
Okay, right.
Rogue Nation, yeah, he did 5.
So he set the groundwork up for Fallout in Rogue Nation.
Sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to get some context there.
So we're sitting in the cinema, and I'm sitting next to Nathan, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie starts with a dream sequence, and I was like, just the worst. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, Nathan, I can't do it. This is the worst. This movie's going to suck. The movie keeps going. I'm like, this is all right. Not bad. the movie ends. I turn to Nathan. I'm like, I love this movie. I really liked it. Like, I really love it. Like,
See,
it's really
now you
good.
understand.
Yeah, no, but it was the sixth. The other movies are still terrible. It's just the sixth one, just fantastic action movie, just amazing.
And
now,
it's funny. I turned to we're watching this movie, and towards the end of the film, there's a helicopter sequence.
Yeah.
And I turned to Callum, who's a frequent guest on our show.
Yeah.
And I said, "Do you think he's really flying that helicopter?" And Callum goes, "No way."
Yeah.
Now, for context here, Tom Cruise has become the kind of actor who, if he has to do something, he will go and learn how to do it, and then he will do it on film without a stunt double. He does his own stunts. So that's why sometimes in the Mission Impossible movies they have trouble financing insurance. So James later informed me he did learn how to fly the helicopter
he actually
for
did
the scene.
That corkscrew where the helicopter's going. It's crazy. But see, for me in Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation, when he does the amazing stunts, I was like, yeah, who cares? Like, I appreciate the stunt, I appreciate the practical elements of it, but I didn't care about the story and the characters.
But the man flew a helicopter in this one.
And it has some of the best
running.
But Fallout, like prime Tom Cruise running.
That's right.
Yeah. But like the Fallout was just like the culmination of everything that I didn't like. It finally kind of worked. The characters worked, the story worked, the action and the spectacle and the stunts and the practical elements.
It had some of the best
came
driving.
Together.
Some of the driving sequences were exquisite.
It all came together. And
the driving sequence in Paris was
the car chase. Yeah. So, but it just I was like loved it. So this now ties into what we were going to talk about was that Christopher McQuarrie, who wrote and directed Rogue Nation and Fallout, has signed on for 2 more Mission Impossible movies to be filmed back to back.
Yes.
And to be released in 2021 and 2022. So
such hype.
Now I'm a little bit excited. But now I'm afraid. I'm like, what happens if they're bad? And I'll just go back to sort of being... But at least I'll always have Fallout.
That's right.
But this kind of leads to an interesting thing. If it is a 2 films back to back, will this be an end to the franchise?
Is it an end game? Is it an Avengers Endgame Part 1 or Part 2 of Mission Impossible?
Infinity War. Because by 2022... Tom Cruise will be 60, and even though he doesn't age and he's still doing all his stunts, like at what point do we start? Like, does he start like slowing down or whatever?
Will he hand the reins over to a younger actor, or will they continue? Or they just end it?
And also, like, how long can this franchise go? Because Ghost Protocol was supposed to be Tom Cruise handing off to Jeremy Renner, and Christopher McQuarrie, who did some uncredited rewrites on Ghost Protocol, was like, no, this is Tom Cruise franchise. He's really the most important part. Which I think he was probably right, even though I didn't really like Tom Cruise that much and I don't really like the other movies.
It's not really a Bond situation.
Yeah, so it's... If they do this these 2 movies to end the franchise or to end this incarnation of it, I'd be up for that. Especially if it's in the vein of Fallout, where Christopher McQuarrie actually had time to sit down and refine the story and characters. Because in Rogue Nation, he was just like kind of making up as going along, kind of changing things, and didn't really work for me. With Fallout, he kind of had some sort of idea. There was a lot of rewrites in that. But then when Tom Cruise broke his ankle, they actually got even more time to sort of go back and refine things.
So are you saying that we need to like break a few bones in Tom Cruise when they start filming?
No, well, maybe.
just delay just a little bit?
Yeah, but I'm saying like now that it's planned that he signed on for 2 more, and it's... I mean, there's only 2 years away, so it's not a lot of time. But I'm hoping that he has a plan to kind of write out a story to sort of cap this franchise off. So anyway, that was just some...
The only thing, personally, I would want to see, if it was feasible, I would want the franchise to continue without Tom Cruise. But the question is, who has enough chops? And when I say chops, I don't mean acting chops. Tom Cruise is a fine actor when he wants to be. But I'm talking about who has enough action charisma. Like the way he runs...
just de-age Tom Cruise.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, what other actor is out there who can do what Tom Cruise does? For a mainstream audience.
A lot of the draw is the sort of stunts and the
stunts and the action.
The Daredevil kind of, death-defying thing. So,
Simon Pegg gets ripped.
Well, yeah, he's pretty super spy in the last movie. So maybe they'll do a Simon Pegg kind of handoff or something. I don't know.
They could do a bridge movie with Simon Pegg as the lead. I don't know. That's a good question. Like, who could fill in as the lead for Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible?
Nothing comes to my mind, honestly.
And we're assuming that he would have to be American.
Yeah.
Because the IMF
not necessarily. It's the Mission Impossible Force. The Impossible Mission Force is.
It could be a British actor pretending to be American.
That's true.
Like Henry Cavill kind of thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, but
Michael Cera.
I'd be down for that. Only if he did all his own stunts.
Only if he had the motorbike from Twin Peaks
and the motor
and like the sort of leather outfit.
Only if it was it was a secret Wally Brando.
Yeah, Wally Brando.
Spin-off. But yeah, and Nathan, we were talking about this before the show, and Nathan said, how will this affect Bond? So my thing is with Bond is kind of like, it's an institution. Like it's always going to be there, even though it might take a few years off.
Bond has the luxury of just changing actors,
and there's also that. So it has that constant replenishment of, even though the last movie might have not been that good,
still be excited for the next one.
Yeah, exactly, because anything can happen. New filmmakers can come in, a new actor can come in, a new style could be brought to the franchise. So, even if they, it's already been 4 years since the last James Bond movie. And, even if Daniel Craig doesn't return after this new one, if they take 5-6 years off and then get another actor, it's like it's always going to come back in some sort of way. Whereas Mission Impossible, we don't know if another actor can carry the franchise. Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen, with the...
Well, hopefully Ethan Hawke won't die at the end of this.
Ethan Hunt. Ethan Hawke is the...
I hope Ethan Hawke doesn't die.
I hope Ethan Hawke, yeah.
I stand by what I said.
No, well, yeah.
I hope Ethan Hunt, my apologies, doesn't die at the end of the second film.
Maybe they can retire him somehow, but also... What's her name? Rebecca Ferguson's character. Ilsa?
Yes.
Yeah. They had a thing, right? Maybe they can ride off into the sunset. I don't know.
And then she shoots him.
Because his ex-wife has gotten remarried now in Fallout.
Yeah.
So there could be a sort of send-off and not a... But as I've always thought Tom Cruise is this crazy guy who does all these stunts and...
He just died in a stunt. Please, could you imagine if the character dies in a stunt?
No, but I'm hoping that if Tom Cruise does pass away, he does die doing a crazy stunt.
Because, the actor or the character?
No, Tom Cruise, the actor, like the person. Because if he just died in his sleep, that's like, that was boring. Like, this is a guy who's like putting his life on the line for our entertainment.
Like he's doing a trick where he ducks under a tank shell or something.
What do you
something
mean?
Crazy.
Oh, you're being shot at him.
Yeah. Something crazy like that. And accidentally hits his arm or something.
That would be awesome, right? Like Tom Cruise dies in like crazy stunt. To
be fair, I feel like I just want to point out that I personally want Tom Cruise to die of old age in his sleep.
Yeah, but that's because you love him and you want to marry him.
Which is now legal in Australia. Thank you very much.
No, not that there's anything wrong with that. But what was I going to say? You threw me off track. Yeah, so like we were joking a few minutes ago where I was like, it would be funny to see Wesley Snipes' real life and Blade intersect. I would like to see Tom Cruise and Ethan Hunt's lives intersect to the point where the last Mission Impossible movies ends with Tom Cruise really dying in a stunt.
It's and they keep it on the film?
And Ethan Hunt also dies in that same way.
It could be an OJ moment. Where it's like they use real footage of like Tom Cruise like surfing on a car or something as like
what do you mean
news like in the white Bronco car sort of thing.
Did they use that in a...
No, I'm just saying we have that footage of him in the...
No, but like they were they're filming the movie. Tom Cruise is in the movie doing the stunt.
So you want Mission Impossible to turn into a snuff film?
Yes.
Okay.
Because that's the only way you can satisfyingly end it. And Tom Cruise's career
on camera.
And Tom Cruise's career at the same time.
Oh man.
Callum's dying. He couldn't handle... If Tom Cruise died...
It's too edgy in here for me.
If Tom Cruise died, Callum would just be inconsolable ages. He'd be wearing black all the time.
It'd be like
he'd be wearing like a black veil.
It'd be like when Kim Jong Il died.
What?
You know, in North Korea, you have to have the mandated period of mourning.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's what it'd be like.
But just for you.
Prostrating in the streets.
Yeah, exactly.
This show's now banned in North Korea.
No. I'm sure they love us over there.
They love the Tuesday Review.
That's right.
The second and last episode of the Tuesday Review. North Korea loves it.
Oh, man. All right. I think we better move on.
Yeah. What should we talk about? Kevin Smith?
Yeah?
Because you guys, after Tom Cruise, Kevin Smith is probably your guys' like next man crush.
Oh, he's up there. So,
he's up
some
there.
context. Some context for our boy Kev. Kev was a larger sized gentleman.
Mm.
And
Fat man.
Yeah, exactly. Fat Man or Batman. One of his shows.
That's what he calls himself.
And then one day he was, they wouldn't let him fly on a plane because he was too large. So they wanted him to buy 2 tickets. And so that was the day he decided to try losing weight.
Mm.
Now, he was pretty successful. He managed to lose a few pounds. But then one day he was on stage filming a stand-up special in 2 parts for Showtime.
Yes, Showtime.
And he felt sick. Turns out he had a massive heart attack.
Yeah.
What they call the Widowmaker.
He almost died.
Yeah, he almost died. It was terrible. So anyway, they managed to save his life. He just so happened to be at the right hospital with the right surgeon, so on and so forth. And so he decided that he's basically got a second chance. So he wanted to try and get all the projects. He's the kind of guy who always talks about the projects he's working on.
Yeah.
But
He's Guillermo del Toro, basically.
yeah, he's
Guillermo. You guys are the worst at Guillermo.
Guillermo.
There's no L sound. It's
Guillermo
like
del
it's like
Toro.
tortilla. You don't
Guillermo
say
del Toro?
Now you're saying. Now I'm screwing up. Guillermo.
So anyway,
Just ignore the L's. Guillermo del Toro.
So Guillermo del Toro.
Del Toro. Yes.
Del Toro.
Del.
Anyway,
But
look,
you're
we're getting
ignoring
off
the
track.
L's.
No,
I'm winding
that's
you
only with the double L in the middle.
I'm winding you up, James.
We're getting off track. So he's the kind of director who
Now
wants to do
people
all
aren't going to
this-
know what we're
yeah.
talking about.
He's the kind of director who wants to do all this stuff, but he can't find traction.
Yeah,
So
he's always announcing things. I'm going to do this TV show. I'm going to do this
exactly.
movie, and then nothing comes out.
Yeah, so
for whatever reason.
he has this new lease on life. He wanted to. First of all, he's been doing a lot of stuff with the CW. So he's been filming a lot of the Supergirl. Not a lot, but he's been filming a few Supergirl episodes. He did
Flash.
He did Flash. I don't know about
And
Arrow.
I think he did.
He worked on the Goldbergs for ABC.
Oh, well,
Okay.
so he's had his fingers in a lot of TV pies. He wanted to make Mallrats into a television show, but he wasn't allowed because he doesn't own the rights to Mallrats. He doesn't own, as far as I'm aware, he doesn't own the rights to Clerks either. But what he does own the rights to is Jay and Silent Bob, the characters.
Yeah.
So he's announced that he wants. He when he came to Melbourne, Nathan and myself went to see him talk, and he talked about all these plans he had for Moose Jaws and so on. But he also talked about Jay and Silent Bob reboot, which is essentially, literally a gritty reboot, not gritty, but like a literal reboot of Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back the movie. So it'll basically have the same plot.
Yeah.
It's almost apparently it's almost satirical that way.
Yeah, which kind of sounds funny. Like the joke is that it's an actual legit reboot of the old movie.
So anyway, fast forward to him having the heart attack and rah rah rah. He's got a new lease on life. He's a lot thinner now. If you see photos of him, he's in pretty
very,
good
very
shape.
thin,
He's announced that the Jay and Silent Bob reboot is in pre-production.
Yeah.
Or pre-production.
He said pre-production, so I don't know.
I think they're working on scripts. They're working, as far as I think he's working on scripts, he's working on production elements and so on. So there seems to be movement in that camp.
But again, like Kevin Smith does, he announces a lot of stuff and none of it comes to light. So we're hoping that this actually does eventually come out. Because, like Moose Jaws was supposed to come out this year and they haven't even started that. So... we're hoping that he actually does get traction on this and it gets going.
Now the interesting thing about because he cast the wide net out with all of these projects to like Netflix, Hulu, the American streaming service Showtime. They all said no.
Yeah.
Now the interesting thing is he has a built-in audience. For lack of a better term, the stoner audience.
I feel like Netflix especially would be the perfect place for his kind of
low budget,
the home of Kev.
Especially like if he made a TV show and not a movie.
Which he did try and make a TV show called Hollyweed.
Yeah.
So why
But like I'm saying, like if he made a movie for Netflix, that would be great.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a good place for his kind of humor and his sort of low budget indie kind of stuff.
Yeah, especially.
But if he made a TV show, would even be better suited to Netflix.
But like, yeah, exactly. But I mean, look, obviously Netflix knows what's best for Netflix.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why they would turn down Kevin Smith doing fairly low budget production.
Because he likes making TV shows. He said that he's actually had a wonderful time making TV episodes.
He directs all those episodes.
And even about movies, most of his ideas are fairly low budget. So I don't understand why the built-in audience wouldn't be worth it to have him on, especially because maybe he's not the biggest brand name, but he's a pretty big brand name in terms of comedy.
He has his own little cult circle.
I'd say he's kind of a cult filmmaker. Like, I don't think his name's not widely known. But yeah, I think those streaming services are the best place for his work, and none of them were interested. So that's kind of sad. But yeah, hopefully he gets stuff going soon. So we're running out of time. So we'll move on to the Orville.
The best Star Trek show airing at the moment.
Exactly. So this is a show we all really, really like. It's not got a negative, maybe mixed reception.
People like the mixed reception is because it's I would say old-fashioned storytelling in the vein of.
I understand some of the criticisms. It's very derivative of Star Trek. But
that's the point.
Yeah, it does look kind of cheap. Some of the humor is a bit juvenile, but some of the other criticisms are just way off base. Like, the show has no sort of, there's no good writing, there's no connection to the characters, the special effects are the worst, and
that's the one that gets me the most. The people hating on the practical.
Yeah, and there are just some people who are just out to hate the show, and a lot of it probably happens to be because of Seth MacFarlane, who created Family Guy, is also the creator and star of the Orville.
I mean, yes, he's the captain, but he's not always the star.
Well, I think the captain's generally the star of any Star Trek style show. But
but I would say especially for this season, we've seen episodes.
No, it's an ensemble cast like any sort of sci-fi.
But
but you know what I mean? Like he stars in the show.
I know what you mean. Yeah, but like I'd say the captain's almost taken a back seat for most of this season so far. I would say.
Sort of, yeah. But it's like I said, it's an ensemble show.
Yeah,
and
which is for me, which is a good thing so far. He's technically,
So, like I said, some of the criticisms are fair. Most of the criticisms are completely unfounded. We all generally really like the show, and its second season has started recently. It's up to episode 3. And it's off to a good start, and I think episode 3 is where it's really starting to sort of cement itself and starting to get going. I think we'll announce maybe mild spoilers, because we'll be talking about the plot points in the show, but you can probably, after we've done talking, you could probably still watch the show without it being ruined.
It's a wonderful show.
Yeah, like it's a lot of fun, and especially this last episode 3 of the second season. First thing, the CGI in episode 3 was really impressive.
Really good. Yeah,
really good.
It was good.
Like, yeah,
I remember we were watching it. I said something to Callum.
There goes the whole budget.
Yeah, I said, there's a character where you see like an animal or something.
Oh yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, and I said to Callum, that's the whole CGI budget.
We're gonna shit on Star Wars again because. It's the Tuesday review. That's what we do. Those crappy horse things in The Last Jedi that shouldn't have been in the movie and were so dumb. Do you mean
Canto Bite?
Yeah. And it was like, let's save the animal. Let's take a chunk out of this movie to save the animals, but leave the slave children. They're okay under in these horrible conditions, but we have to, free the horses.
Space Peter.
Yeah. So they look like crap, and the CGI in that movie is trash. This horse thing in
the Orville was really good.
Looked pretty good.
It did,
especially when Alara's like riding it. I was like, oh, that's a really good sort of effect. Whereas when Rose and Finn are riding the thing, I was just like throwing up in my mouth. It's like, what the hell is going on? But yeah, like I think it's also great how the show is technically a comedy, but the jokes don't really get in the way of the emotion and the drama. And I think Seth MacFarlane has sort of he's made an effort to sort of...
No, the movie deals with its themes well.
The show.
The show deals with its themes well.
Yeah, but he's made an effort to sort of cut down the jokes a little bit so that he can focus on the characters and story, because the characters and story are the interesting part.
Yeah, I think a lot of people... I don't want this to sound kind of... obnoxious, but I know that before season 1 came out, people were like, oh, it's gonna suck, and it's, rah rah rah, because the original trailer for season 1
was all jokes.
It was all pretty much. It had a lot of jokes in it.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people misinterpret the show, and they don't even bother watching it because they have an idea about what the Orville is already.
Especially because of the Family Guy kind of stigma.
Yeah.
Even though it's not really,
which isn't going to be helped by some aspects of season 3.
Well, yeah, there's
a returning actor. There's an actor who is from Family Guy. He comes in episode 3.
Joe, the guy who. No, but
Patrick Warburton or whatever. Yeah.
No, my point is, I think a lot of people probably saw some of the promotional material and they were like, "Oh, that's gonna suck," and they just never watched it. And now they just think, "Oh, the Orville sucks anyway." But they don't. My experience of watching the Orville is distinctly different than what some people are saying it's like.
Because people compare it to Star Trek, but then they also think the new Star Trek's good. So why would we watch the Orville and it's cheap when the new Star Trek is worse story-wise and pretty much every way was but budget?
The Orville is better than Discovery in every single way, including the visuals.
Yeah,
because even though Discovery technically has better production design and better CGI, it means nothing and is grey and dark and disgustingly depressing.
The Orville ship looks like it's tangible.
The Orville might have some kind of cheesy practical effects and
but the cheesier the better, man.
Yeah, but it's endearing and it's it's evocative of what people love about the old Star Trek.
There's in a few of the episodes, every now and again, you'll see a guy who's very clearly just in a mask. He's supposed to be an alien, and you're like, that's what I want to see. Yeah, I want to see it's very clearly a rubber mask.
It also comes down to the emotional aspect. The third episode, which will start now going into some slightly medium spoilers.
Just slightly before we talk about season 3, I just want to touch on. I appreciated how they handled episode 2. Sorry, episode 3. Yeah. Before we go into episode 3, I just want to quickly touch on how they handled episode 2.
Yeah. So we'll just say mild spoilers.
I'm not going to spoil anything.
We'll be talking about what happens in the show, but you can still watch it. It won't ruin.
I'm not going to spoil any actual plot points.
Yeah.
But episode 2 revolves around, and I'm not trying to be crass here.
Yeah, no.
We'll say one of the characters has a pornography addiction.
Yeah.
Well, effectively,
that's what it is. That's what they say.
They say porno addiction in the show, to use Seth MacFarlane's term.
Yeah.
And reading this synopsis, going into this episode, I thought it'd be all jokes, non-stop jokes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Very dark episode, actually.
It deals with the themes maturely in a way that I thought Seth MacFarlane might have not been able to resist.
I mean, like James has said on the show before, science fiction addresses real problems in a scientific way. So it's not. I'm not saying people generally struggle with pornography addictions, but it's something you don't really think about.
It addresses real world problems. It addresses what's happening in the world right now, just with a sort of sci-fi coat of paint.
And I just thought I'd like to say that I appreciated how well they dealt with that particular problem instead of just making it all jokes.
But and this leads into my point about episode 3 and the emotional aspect, where at the end of episode 3, this is sort of spoilers here, but Alara, the character, leaves the show.
Who's the head of security.
And that for me was quite emotional. Even though she's been in 14 episodes of the show.
Honestly, I didn't see it coming.
No, I mean neither.
And and there's one episode in the first season where the character Bortus, his entire race is all male, but he has a daughter with his mate, and the whole episode is about them trying, his people trying to force him to. His daughter to have a sex change to male. It's quite a serious thing. There's some good jokes, but overall it's quite emotionally. And a lot of the other episodes are quite emotionally
charged.
Yes. Now, this third, the end of the third episode of this latest season where Alara leaves was more like emotionally powerful to me than anything in Star Trek Discovery. Star Trek Discovery is sterile.
It feels soulless.
It's soulless, and it's mean-spirited and aggressive, and I hate it. I hate it.
You know what I think the difference is with the Orville? The characters love each other.
Exactly.
Like
they're a family.
When there's an interaction between the characters, it's because the characters know each other and they care about each other.
And they're also characters.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can describe each of them in different ways. Discovery, it's just like mean people being mean to each other, being sort of depressed and just aggressive. And I'm just like, who are these people? I don't care about any of these people. When characters die in Discovery, it's always just a disgusting, gory death scene. Like, oh, look at this, pow. And I'm just like, who cares? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to say? I just hate it so much.
The Orville is the complete opposite.
And that's why the Orville is the best Star Trek show on right now. Because it is, in spirit, Star Trek. It is what people want from Star Trek. It might not be perfect. It might be too derivative at some times of Star Trek. But at the end of the day, it's what we want.
100%.
And look, honestly, again, I'm not trying to sound obnoxious, but if you read reviews and people are like, oh, it sucks, it's low budget, don't listen to them. It's one of those shows where you have to watch it for yourself and then make up your own mind.
And also don't just watch the first episode of the first season, because that's a very pilot episode where it's like, look at all the characters, look at all the jokes.
Yeah.
Actually,
I'm trying to sell this to a network episode.
Keep up with it with like at least 3 episodes. I think the 3rd episode is the Borders episode, if I remember correctly.
I can't remember.
It's been so long.
Yeah.
But, keep up with it a bit before you...
Yeah, it's one of those shows you have to see for yourself if you like or not.
Yeah. But yeah, like, before we end up, like, I'm just hoping that Alara leaving... Like, I'm hoping that... Because they've already announced that they're replacing her with another Zelayan female security officer, which is the same as her sort of character. So I'm like... I can understand. It's like,
so we're not keeping the replacement officer?
No.
Thank God.
What's his name? Thrall?
I'm just
gonna pound food.
The guy with the trunk into the
two esophagus.
He rubbed me the wrong way because it's voiced by the same actor that voices Joe.
Patrick Warburton. Yeah. He's amazing.
And he rubbed me the wrong way.
No, man.
No, I love the
like I would totally be like even though like
I like the voice actor, but I'm just afraid like please his character is just gonna be jokes.
But my thing is they're replacing her with another Zelayan female, so it's like they're just replacing her with.
So did the actress not want to do it anymore? And she was like, "I want out."
I haven't been able to find a straight answer, but apparently she got cast in a movie that the schedules would clash, and so Seth MacFarlane let her out of her contract so she could do that movie. I think what's good is that they didn't Tasha Yar her, they didn't kill her off. So she can come back in the future, and I think that'll be good.
Well, he said at the end of the episode, basically, he told her, well, you always have a home here.
Exactly.
So it's not out of the realm possibility.
But, as I was saying, because they're replacing her with pretty much the same, like a clone of her in a way, I'm hoping that they kind of do a good job to distinguish
different
characters. Yeah.
I just want to point out the joke that Joe, I can't remember the alien's name.
So, it's Thrall or something.
I just love that he sees Kermit the Frog on the desk. He's like, what's that?
Kermit the Frog.
Sick. I love that joke. That's like the first he goes, sick.
The best part is where they're flying over Zelaya, and what's his name is like...
I'm trash.
Yeah, he's like, it's places like this that make me think, I'm trash. My family is trash. So good. But I also like how it got really dark at the end.
It did. It got real dark.
Like real, crazy
home invasion.
It got it's like home, like really dark, and like Robert Picardo's performance got really intense and just like very emotionally and powerful.
And also anti-vaccination message.
Yeah, you got this sort of crazy anti-vaxxers who are the bad guys. I'm like, wow, there's so much going on. Like this feels like kind of really good Star Trek stuff. And meanwhile, Discovery's like, remember Spock? You like Spock, right? But now he has a beard. What? They're bringing Spock back,
and he has a beard.
But he has a beard.
But the Leonard Nimoy is passed away.
Yeah, but it's young Spock. Remember, it's a prequel. Remember old Star Trek?
Remember
the Enterprise?
Remember
Captain Pike?
I remember.
It's
That's
the
okay.
worst, and I hate it.
The Orville's here. That's fine.
Yeah, but the Orville episode 4, I think, comes out on Thursday or Friday. So, looking forward to it. Looking forward to how they introduce the new character. Yeah,
Oh man, we love the Orville.
yeah. Also, like the actors who play Bordis and Clyden are so good.
Yeah,
They
very
are so
straight.
good.
Like, yeah, they're like
Very straight.
so good.
I just honorable mention. I tried. There's sort of like there's a piano player, and they put on a record on the first episode. of
Yeah,
season
as time
2.
goes by.
As
it's
time
a
goes by,
version.
I tried finding that instrumental, and I couldn't find it. I was very disappointed.
That exact one.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming that's a track that they sort
They
of.
probably recorded it for the show.
Oh, maybe.
So, because it's probably in public domain at this point. So if they record their own version, they don't have to pay any royalties.
Oh, that's probably why I
Probably
couldn't find
Seth
it.
MacFarlane on the
But
piano.
I'm sure you could
Hey,
find.
it could be.
Yeah. I'm sure you could find a similar version.
Probably.
But we've run out of time. But looking forward to the rest of the Orville.
Packed a lot in this week.
Packed a lot in. If you're listening live, Matt, our good friend, does a show called Car Talk, which is an automotive show. So you stick around for that. If you want, Alum, who was our guest last week, he's also a frequent guest or co-host on that show. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Stay subscribed.
Why? This is the finale, right?
This was the second and final episode of the Tuesday Review. Tune in next week, maybe.
We'll see what happens.
For dead air.
Yeah.
I'll release episode 3 is just dead air. Just 1 hour, solid hour of dead air. Like and share the Tuesday Review Facebook page. You can message us there if you want, and subscribe, rate and review to the podcast. The podcast is out on iTunes now, so you can find it there or on your regular podcasting app.
Follow us on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter at Tuesday Review AU. That's pretty much it.
It's Tuesday, and you've been reviewed.
I'm gonna hurt you. Badly. But you know what? I think Alum, who was on last week, he sort of said something that could be our sign off. He said, "See you next Tuesday." So that's good enough.
Yeah.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.